Hiiro Kakera was the first big success of Otome, almost comparable to Hakuoki, that allowed the Otome visual novel genre to grow. And though it never got a localization so far, the English-speaking audience still might know the anime of the same name. And 4 of the 9 games are now ported to the Nintendo Switch to make it accessible to a new audience. In Hiiro Kakera, the heroine Tamaki moves to the countryside to her grandma, but as soon as she enters the forest that leads to the secluded village, she is attacked by strange creatures and rescued by her childhood friend Takuma. She finds out that she inherited the blood to protect the seals to ward off the resurrection of a demon aiming to destroy the human world. For this reason, she is protected by 4 guardians who help her ward off evil, including a faction of enemies who want to obtain the magical seals for themselves. These 5 guardians are the tsundere childhood friend Takuma, who likes to tease and insult Tamaki, but grows to respect her strong will and loyalty. I played his route first because I was the most curious about him after watching the anime. They always love an LI who verbally abuses the heroine. And Takuma is no exception. I'm really glad I played his route first, as their love development felt the most natural, growing closer, protecting each other. Just in the end it felt too dragging and too long, fighting the same enemy over and over and having never-ending conflicts to overcome. My hero is the tsundere childhood friend who likes to tease and insult Tamaki, but grows to respect her strong will and loyalty. If I had played his route first, I'm sure their love development would have felt the most natural, growing closer, protecting each other. Just the end felt too dragging for me, and too long, fighting the same enemy over and over. Yuichi is the silent and calm but beautiful type, who also happens to be a kitsune with self-confidence issues. While he looks cool and calm, he impersonates the "I'm not good enough for you" trope, which I personally don't enjoy. Shinji joined the party late, as he was still training to awaken his guardian powers. His route reveals more about the enemies and the relation with one side character, who totally stole the show and made the route about this character instead of the couple. Suguru is the calm and adult type whose hobby is drinking tea. He kindly takes care of Tamaki and acknowledges her hardships until it disappears from his own route and you suddenly spend all your free time with the female side characters, as if you were in a male dating sim. Until he reappears at the end of his route and you kiss. The heroine is often criticized for being bratty, but I honestly find her very relatable, not easily accepting this very heavy fate, and being easily scared like everyone would when facing death. And this initial fearfulness gave room for more character development throughout the route, and demonstrated in each route how important their mutual support for the characters is. The art conveys the magical yet dire setting perfectly. I absolutely adore the traditional Japanese and autumn setting that makes you feel strangely melancholic. And this is underlined by the flowery writing and countless descriptions of nature. While the art in this game is beautiful, and I especially love the falling leaves animations, in my opinion too many CGs were wasted on fighting CGs, as fighting takes up a big chunk of the game, and the romantic promotional CGs you might see are far and few between. When it comes to learning Japanese, this game is an absolute treasure trove for N2. I found almost every N2 word in this game and a lot of example sentences for N2 grammar structures. I don't know if there's another game that really is so perfect for studying for the JLPT N2. While the game starts fairly light-hearted and school slice of lifey, you quickly get entangled in gruesome fights and the dire fate of the heroine and everyone around her. The game is plot-heavy and depressing. The heroine suddenly finds herself in quite a predicament by having to protect the whole world by betting her own life. Every schoolgirl would feel overwhelmed in this situation, and especially in your first route, you might feel this fate weigh heavy on your chest and make you feel even more depressed and hopeless towards the end of the route. For me, it got easier to bear with each route, but my first route really made me feel anxious. And for a game to fully convey these kind of feelings really is remarkable in my opinion. But with each route I played, I guess I on the one hand got used to the depressing plot and the gruesome fate that awaits everyone, but also got dulled by the repetitiveness. The first 2 or 3 routes followed the exactly same structure, looking for the truth, then fighting the same enemy over and over, until you find the true method to bring them down for good, which is the same in every route. In the following routes you get closer to the overarching truth, but I found it to be revealed too easily and it turned out more blunt than expected. Though I actually liked the villains more, like some of the main characters. From the beginning I wondered what their motive is, but sadly some motives are more interesting than others. Some villains have very deep and even moving backstories I actually wish to know more about, while others were not more than the one-dimensional villain you know from every second best novel. But this focus on the portrayal of the villains also emphasizes the focus on the plot and world building, but also led to a shift in some routes from the couple to the side characters. What can be fun and interesting, but for me that's not the reason to play an Otome game. Especially if some routes started feeling as if I was playing a male-oriented dating game. But I guess that makes it amazing for every visual novel fan. And I also think fans of Code Realize will be very happy with this game. Both games share the same scenario writer, and you see the similarities in the focus on the plot, the fleshed out characters and their natural and adorable interactions, but also in the lack of romance. Romance in both games seems like merely a byproduct of the intense and action-heavy plot, that the characters fall in love with each other because they fight together and protect each other. I personally could relate to the love development in Hiiro Kakera more than in Code Realize, but for people who liked Code Realize in terms of romance, this game as well should satisfy you, as the characters form a strong bond over the course of the trials life has in store for them. But for everyone who craved for more romance, the Switch and the Vita port also include the fan disc. But not only is the FD extremely short, with about half an hour to an hour content for each character. Like half an hour, can you believe that? It's a crime to think that that was even sold separately on the PSP and PS2. One part of the FD is kind of like a continuation after the happenings of the first game, but I didn't feel like it connected very much to what happened in the first game, but rather felt like an episode sometime after the first game, just for some light and sweet interactions. Unless you're a sex addict like Leo, then it's kind of steamy, but that's about it. And this is where I found out that I bought the game for the CGs of the fan disc, of a rather minor character who doesn't play a big role in the base game. The other part of the FD are random scenarios like Valentine's Day or Christmas, again just for some light and sweet interactions. So while the FD gives you indeed some sweet time, it was still difficult for me to get into it, as I can't really enjoy random scenarios that are detached from the story. But if you just want a few more minutes with the characters, I think this still will be fun, though it was not enough to satisfy my thirsty heart. So what makes this game so successful? As one of the early games of Otome, I think they were still testing the waters for the female market. While Otome games existed at that time for more than 10 years, those were all gameplay Otome games and not pure visual novels. So the developers had to think about how to draw in the new female audience. They already had experience with male-oriented dating sims, but not with female-oriented games. So my guess is that the first games tried to stick closer to other genres like traditional visual novels, being more plot-heavy, less romance-focused, let alone steamy. And not only for the Japanese market, this seems like a promising approach. That 8 games and an anime adaptation followed until Hakuoki stole the show only a few years later, which has to this day produced 14 games, an anime adaptation, and of course the English localizations. And with that is one of the most popular Otome games to this day, both in the English-speaking market as well in the Japanese market, what proves that this approach also works for the English market to get new players into the genre. And now with the ports of Hiiro Kakera to introduce again a new player base into the genre. As many people in the English-speaking market also know the anime, I wonder if a localization would be a good idea. As the motive seems similar to games like Hakuoki, and the multimedia approach, not only having a game but also a manga or anime adaptation, always serve the genre well. So that might be true for the English market as well. I definitely adore the concept of the story and was almost addicted to finding out more about the plot, though I'm usually not the type to take an interest in the plot. I also admire the flowery writing and the character development of each character, as well as the fleshed out and deep characters and the cute banters with the cast. So the plot and characters are definitely the strong point of this game. If only the routes didn't feel so repetitive, focused more on the romantic progression, and didn't focus more on the side characters than on the main couple at times. But if you like mythological fantasy plots, fighting scenes, romance with a suspension bridge effect, and maybe take a break between the roots to make them feel less cookie cutter, or you can enjoy interactions with the side characters without a focus on romance or spice, then you might find this game as enjoyable as Code Realize. And if you're looking for more plot-heavy and sci-fi games that are too successful not to be localized, I highly recommend Uchronia by the same team as Pure Fjorde, and that will also get a localization in 2025 and is perfect for everyone who enjoys a sci-fi plot.